All right, we have a very key NFL update, and it is exactly what I was talking about yesterday from French Polynesia regarding the rising salary cap. Remember, I said expect the cap to make another big jump this year, and that's going to be huge for the 49ers and paying Brock Purdy because they've been trying to surf the wave of the rising salary cap. Well, the update, this comes from Dan Graziano, the 2025 salary cap will be between 277.5 million and 281.5 million. There is a $4 million range right now that the NFL and NFLPA are working out. Some more negotiations regarding the player price for 2025. There are performance-based incentives that are haggled over every single season. So within the course of the next week, the NFL and NFLPA should come to agreement on the exact size of the 2025 salary cap. But we do now know, because the NFL wanted to let teams know heading into the NFL combines, they had a working number. We do now know that that number is going to be between 277.5 million and 281.5 million. So there have been massive salary cap increases over the course of the past 2 years. I did the math for you, so you wouldn't have to do it. We're going to toss it up on the screen because last season's salary cap increase was over 13%. This year's, well, it has a chance to be 10% if it hits that $281.5 million number. Here is the math that I just simply did a few minutes ago. 13.6% increase in 2024, and 8.6 to 10.2% increase here in 2025. As I said, that is TBD. If we see the higher end of this, if we see the $281.5 million salary cap, which would mean a 10.2% increase on top of the 13.6% increase, well, we could see a salary cap increase of 25% in just 2 years, from 224 million in 2023 to over 280 million in 2025. So then this is all tied to NFL revenues. A lot of people probably wondering where this comes from. It's how much money is the NFL bringing in? That is going to be directly correlated with how much money teams have to spend on players, which is the salary cap. This was instituted in the mid-1990s. So it's a way for the owners to be sure that they're not going to be spending uncontrollably. The owners want to make as much money as possible through their NFL business venture. So the salary cap, obviously, it hurts players, but it helps owners. It keeps that spending limit on players in, it's not in a firm range every year because teams can carry over salary cap space from season to season. 49ers and the Eagles, the two teams that have pushed as much money as possible out into the future. They've actually done a good job of surfing the wave of the rising salary cap, but it is somewhat fixed, right? There is a finite limit of money to be spent, even if you can push money into the future. And the money that the limit for this 2025 season, generally, because teams can also carry over money from previous seasons, which the 49ers will do, or push money into future seasons. But the general limit is going to be between 277.5 and 281.5 million. So yes, a win-win deal for the 49ers and Brock Purdy is more than possible. This is what we wrote about on the San Francisco Standard, a day or two ago. This is what we talked about from the beach out in the South Pacific yesterday. This is more possible than ever. The people who are saying, where are they going to find the money to pay Purdy, do not know what they are talking about, point blank. They don't understand contract structure. They don't understand surfing the wave of the rising salary cap. We can get into all those details in a little bit, but mostly they don't understand this recent news that the salary cap is about to increase another 10% or so from its 2024 level of about 255 million to its 2025 level of nearly 280 million. This does not come as a surprise to us. I have proof of that right here. This is my salary cap spreadsheet. I've been working with a $280 million salary cap, as you can see in writing. My cursor is hovering over it for months now. That's been my estimate. 49ers carried over about 50 million of unused space from the 2024 season. So that will set their cap size at about 330 million, since unused space does roll over from year to year. So on a $330 million salary cap, the 49ers, according to my projections, are projected to have over $46 million of 2025 salary cap space. Brock Purdy, his line is right here. His cap hit is currently $5.24 million. I'll show you my projection for his contract. Even if it's over $60 million annually, when they do sign it this offseason, Purdy's cap hit will probably only go up to about $15 million. That will leave the 49ers with $36 million in space. Deebo Samuel is still on the books. If they decide to trade Deebo Samuel, which is possible, then they will incur a very big salary cap hit, dead money hit of about 31 million, I think 31.5 million. That would eat up a little bit more room, but they would still have over $20 million in space. And I'll get back to why that is key as far as Deebo Samuel goes in a couple seconds. They can make up some money with a restructure or an extension, really, for George Kittle, which they're currently working on. His current cap hit is 22 million. Say that they can lower that to 12 million by spreading the money further out into the future with an extension. Well, then the 49ers are back up to 30 million in space, even if they trade Deebo Samuel and incur a big amount of dead money, and even if they do toss in a Brock Purdy extension on top of that. My main point right now is that the 49ers, I'm back to the starting point, 46 million of space. The 49ers have flexibility because the cap is going to be so big. It's increased that, 25% over the course of the past 2 years. And because they have smartly pushed money into the future to surf the wave of this rising cap. And this flexibility is going to allow them to potentially surprise some people regarding Deebo Samuel. There was a report today that said, it's completely infeasible for the 49ers to trade Deebo Samuel. They'd rather designate him for a post-June 1st release so they can save 2025 salary cap space. And to that, I say, actually do some research on the 49ers 2025 salary cap situation. If there is decent trade return for Deebo Samuel, the 49ers, I think, will be more than willing, and they definitely will be able to absorb a big dead cap hit because they've got all this space in 2025. That's the way that they've set it up. People need to realize that even with a post-June 1st designation, you're not saving overall money. You're just pushing the dead cap hit into the future. But if it means trade compensation now, and trading Deebo Samuel obviously would mean trade compensation now, if they could find a trade partner who's willing to part with it, and you have the financial ability to absorb the dead cap hit that comes with a trade now, it's something that you definitely consider if you're the 49ers. They've wanted to put all the options out onto the table with how they're going to financially work with things here moving forward. So to maintain optionality with the Deebo Samuel situation, you have to be able to field trade offers. Because if you say, I can't afford to trade due to the dead cap hit in 2025, then you're just playing your cards and you'll have to release him and you won't get anything in this situation, right? So you have to be able to maintain all trade optionality. You have to be able to maintain rostering optionality. You have to say, well, if we don't get good offers, we're going to keep Deebo Samuel on the roster. His current salary cap hit is $15.9 million. The 49ers can definitely afford that. I think they can also afford a $31 million charge, which would be about $16 million more expensive if they trade Deebo Samuel. The big picture takeaway here is if you manage your salary cap right, and if you surf the wave of that rising cap, which is what we're seeing right now from the 49ers in the NFL, then you can have your cake and eat it too. You can make the transactions you need to make on a short-term basis, all while staying salary cap healthy over the long term as this continues to increase. So we're going to find out in a few days. The NFL Combine starts next week. So perhaps during the course of the NFL Combine, maybe a little bit after, we're going to find out exactly where the salary cap will land. But what we do know is that a win-win for Brock Purdy is absolutely possible because the 49ers have over $46 million of 2025 space on a projected cap based on the NFL's initial memo to teams. This is from Dan Graziano, that says the salary cap will be between $277.5 million and $281.5 million. This show, very fittingly, is brought to you by Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings, your personal savings, not necessarily the 49ers salary cap savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/gameon today. That's rocketmoney.com/gameon. rocketmoney.com/gameon. What a fitting time to read a Rocket Money advertisement. Right when we're looking at this kind of stuff. The 49ers saving money year over year, pushing money back into the future. With Rocket Money, I guess if you cancel your subscriptions, you're effectively pushing some spending into the future, although you don't have to execute that spending later down the road if you don't want to. But this is all tied to what we were talking about with the win-win contract for Brock Purdy yesterday. We can put that right back here on the screen, and then we can talk about whatever everybody wants to talk about because of this really big jump in the NFL salary cap. Last year was a record, 13.6%. This year, from anywhere from 8.6% to 10.2% is going to be really big, especially when you're dealing with the type of numbers that the 49ers and the rest of the league are dealing with. I mean, there was a time when the salary cap was like $49 million back when it opened up in the mid-90s. Now it's going to be up to $281.5 million. I mean, the fact that I've been working with a $280 million number for months now, to me is crazy, but it is tied to league revenues. We are discussing whether or not the 49ers are going to be playing a game in Berlin, in Germany, or in London this next year. So the league is growing internationally. That's bringing in money for the league. As much as people like to broadcast their dislike of Taylor Swift, especially on the 49ers side, I think that's opened up more money for the league. I mean, the interest from women in the league has grown very, very, I won't say exponentially, but significantly over the past couple of years. And I think on top of everything, you have this new distribution of the NFL product through streaming services. And that, by extension, the old school broadcast networks are also using the streaming service technology. So what's happening is the NFL and TV providers, those who are putting the game out there for fans, are able to more accurately measure how many people are watching. And that allows them to command more for advertising, which means the NFL is ultimately making more money. So all these new streaming deals that the NFL has signed over the past few years, combined with the more advanced measurements that are now possible versus the old school when it was all just broadcasting over air and you had to guess how many people were watching around the country. It was a very educated guess, but now you've got exact numbers, and firm numbers lead to better sales of advertising. And we're seeing the NFL rake in money, which has meant that the salary cap, according to the collective bargaining agreement agreed to between the players and the owners, means the salary cap rises as well from $277.5 million to $281.5 million. That is the range that the salary cap will land in. Remember that it was in the 250s. It was $255.4 million last year. So from $224.8 million in 2023 to $255.4 million in 2024 to somewhere around $280 million. That is a huge, huge jump. It is great news for the 49ers. It makes that Brock Purdy win-win possible, and then it makes everything that the 49ers are trying to do possible as well around Brock Purdy. You can definitely surf the wave of that rising salary cap. I could actually include this, and I did include this in yesterday's video from French Polynesia. So why don't we watch, because I cover all the ground there. I've got to hop into the city right now. So we've got about 8 or 9 minutes for you guys to watch and enjoy. You're going to be able to see the 49ers deferral of dead money into the future, second only to the Philadelphia Eagles. So the Eagles, the Super Bowl champion, and the 49ers have been known to manage the salary cap really well. Both of them have been able to push money into the future in a way that definitely takes advantage of the rising salary cap. This is from yesterday. We predicted what would happen today, and I think a lot of the nuggets and the lessons that we tried to impart with this yesterday hold even more true after today's news regarding the salary cap. If this is a Weather Channel report or a 49ers update, but we're going to go ahead and make it the latter, because yes, it is actually possible for the 49ers and Brock Purdy to reach agreement on a deal, even one more than $60 million a year, that is a win-win for both sides. Speaking of victorious conditions for both sides, that's what the view is like. This way, Taha Island, the overwater bungalows. When we look the other way, we're going to get to the big grand reveal of Bora Bora. We could even zoom in a little bit on Bora Bora, just like we're going to zoom in on Brock Purdy's potential new 49ers contract. The article is up on the San Francisco Standard. I projected the deal for $61 million annually about a month ago. This time I look at comparisons, and I'm thinking about the win-win setup. The Philadelphia Eagles paid Jalen Hurts well over $50 million a year, and that was in old cap money. The salary cap has risen. The 49ers and the Eagles are the two teams that have most effectively surfed the salary cap. I don't know if we could surf today. Maybe we could swim today, but I mean, these are famous surfing waters around French Polynesia. The cap is rising on a year-to-year basis. It's going to explode even further because the NFL and the TV providers and all the streaming providers have much more detailed ways of tracking viewership. So as soon as the NFL revenues come out this year, I think a lot of people are going to be surprised, but you shouldn't be, that the salary cap is going to be at another all-time high by quite a big margin. And since the salary cap is tied to NFL revenues, we can expect team spending limits to increase year over year. So properly structuring a contract to surf the wave of that rising salary cap is the way to do business in the NFL. The Philadelphia Eagles, who gave Jalen Hurts that deal with the triple option bonus to push money into the future, and the San Francisco 49ers, who have given out more big contracts than any NFL team since 2017 when Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch took over, those two teams have deferred more money into the future, more void year cap hits than anyone else in the National Football League. So the Eagles get it. Jalen Hurts, big deal, massive, really good roster around Jalen Hurts. They've been able to build a powerhouse even after paying their quarterback. The 49ers are going to be able to do the same thing because, like the Eagles, they understand that you can surf the wave of the rising salary cap. That's how this league, it's all based on the proration money, and it's all based on the fact that the NFL allows you to amortize those signing bonuses and those option bonuses over up to 5 years. Now, what I propose in this article on the San Francisco Standard actually has to do with the other Super Bowl quarterback from this season, the one who didn't play well in the Super Bowl, and that is Patrick Mahomes. Before the 2020 season, the Kansas City Chiefs awarded Patrick Mahomes $450 million over 10 years. Now, understand that almost every other NFL contract had maxed out at 5 years. All of a sudden, the Chiefs decided to give Patrick Mahomes 10 years. But this is the glory of team-friendly contracts in the NFL. The Chiefs were able to exact team control for twice the normal max length at essentially no additional cost, because beyond year 3, there were no guarantees in that contract. They trigger on a year-to-year basis for Patrick Mahomes. So that's what I propose for the 49ers and Purdy, something longer. Now, Purdy might not like this. That's the trick of negotiations. I think that the term of this deal, the player's going to want a shorter one so he can hit free agency again and leverage the power of that, while the team is going to want more control. The only thing the 49ers need to avoid here, for absolute sure, is a deal like Deshaun Watson's. He had fully guaranteed money, which was unprecedented and remains unprecedented through 5 years. 5 years, $230 million. So there is no eject button for the Cleveland Browns in Deshaun Watson's contract. But in the case of Patrick Mahomes, there's an eject button essentially every single season for the Kansas City Chiefs. I doubt that they'll have to press that eject button if he keeps on playing the way that he did in the Super Bowl. Maybe they will, but I think that we all believe that Patrick Mahomes is going to continue being a good quarterback. The Chiefs have the contractual control in that situation. So it's really helped Kansas City build a team around Patrick Mahomes. He does have life-changing money, obviously. This is something, and it can be revisited over time, especially if the salary cap continues rising. Quarterbacks do have leverage. Brock Purdy has leverage over the 49ers. So even if you do sign a long-term deal, if you continue playing well, you can revisit that deal because you're the QB that can threaten to just not show up. That is obviously in Purdy's back pocket over the course of this offseason before the 49ers award him his new contract. So I talk about that proposal on the San Francisco Standard. To me, that is the ultimate goal for both sides here, is to find something that obviously enriches Brock Purdy and his family generationally, but also gives the 49ers the peace of mind knowing that such a good quarterback is under contract for them for the indefinite future. Is it going to be 5 years? Is it going to be longer than that? Is Purdy going to push for something shorter than that? Maybe that's what the gist of the haggling is going to be about. But we can surmise for sure that Brock Purdy does deserve massive new money based on the performance that we've seen over the course of the past 3 seasons. I delve into some of the stats on the San Francisco Standard. We look at the fact that his performance has actually remained very stable despite the fact that the 49ers completely crumbled around him in 2024. But you look at the adjusted net yards per attempt, very similar to the 2022 numbers when Purdy took over the league by storm as pick number 262. Remember that Tom Brady did not lose a start to a rookie quarterback until the last time that he faced the rookie quarterback in his career in his final season, 2022, and the rookie quarterback was Brock Purdy. It was an awesome game against the Bucs, an awesome run up until he got hurt against the Philadelphia Eagles. And the numbers that he put up in 2024 were almost identical to the ones that he put up in that 2022 season. Of course, the ceiling for Brock Purdy in 2023 was number 1 in the league, one of the greatest QB seasons of all time. And I could leave you guys with this. We're going to go to the very end of the ledge here as we talk about this. Brock Purdy is 25 years old. He just turned 25 in December. Think about the best statistical season for Tom Brady. It came at age 30. Think about the best statistical season for Peyton Manning. It came at age 28. Now think about 49ers history. The best statistical seasons for Joe Montana and Steve Young both came at age 33. 33. For Joe Montana, it was the 89 season where the 49ers beat the Rams 30-3 in the NFC Championship game, and then they won the Super Bowl by a record amount, 55-10 against John Elway and the Denver Broncos. That's the biggest margin of victory we've ever seen in a Super Bowl. Joe was essentially perfect at age 33. Steve Young was essentially perfect at age 33. That was the 1994 season, the 49ers' most recent Super Bowl championship. That 94 season saw Steve Young throw 6 touchdown passes against the San Diego Chargers in Miami. Purdy's 25. If Manning's best season was 28, Brady's was 30, Young and Montana's was 33, well, that means you want a longer-term deal if you're the 49ers. If it follows the same path as Young and Montana, then a 5-year deal, the standard max length, would not net you contractual control over Purdy. You'd have to sign another contract before then. So a Mahomes-like deal, 10 years, gives you the largest net possible if you're the San Francisco 49ers to make this a truly money contract for both sides. Go ahead and check out the article on the San Francisco Standard. Thanks for following us here in the South Pacific. Back to the Bay Area next. Through the storm, but it's still been fun. It is rainy season here. It is wet season here, although we are getting some nice UV on this final day. And we got some good UV to begin things on the island of Moorea. Moving over here to Taha'a. And maybe in the future, there will be another hop over the beautiful water here in the Pacific Ocean to Bora Bora. Although Bora Bora might be as expensive as Brock Purdy's new contract.